Hello guys and welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast. Today, I wasn't planning on recording today, as I said in the preview podcast. I wasn't planning on recording a post-game podcast unless something really dramatic happened in the Arsenal game. And, well, we all know what happened. 3-0 loss. A pathetic performance by Real Madrid in a big game. And one in which probably that calls our Champions League season over. So that's the Champions League season over, La Liga season over this weekend, and we're pretty much done. Right now outside, there's some construction happening, so I've had to move myself where I normally record, just to make sure that your listening experience is a bit better. Hopefully it's better, hopefully it isn't interrupted too much, but you can still I can still kind of hear the construction. Hopefully it isn't too bad for you guys. I'm trying to be a bit louder for myself so you hear me instead of the construction. But let's start with this Real Madrid game, because 3-0 against Arsenal, and I can't really have any complaints. There is nothing to suggest that we deserve to get anything out of this game, and there's nothing to suggest that, in the end I think we actually got quite lucky. That wasn't more. It wasn't actually more, and it wasn't some all-time humiliation. It was still pretty damn bad, but it's still not that, it's not that bad. And I think this kind of goes into it, going into the game in which everyone knew Arsenal are a better team. The only thing Real Madrid had on our side was the fact that we're Real Madrid. We've got the Champions League aura, and that's it. There's no department of the team in which we're better than Arsenal, and I think it really showed. And I think it has showed every single time we've come up against a team that are just simply better than us this season. We lose. We just simply lose. If you think about the best team that we sorry about that. I just have to quickly move. So the best team that we've won against this season probably is Manchester City or Villarreal, or if you count the Atleti game as well, but that's a different circumstance. We drew twice against Atleti when it actually mattered. It's very clear that we can't beat the big teams that are just better than us. We simply get outcoached, and it's not even the biggest teams, because every week we go to a different club and we get outcoached. Last weekend we lost to Valencia and Carlos Corberán. Corberán did a fantastic job, and Ancelotti's Real Madrid had no chance. Yesterday, Mikel Arteta's Arsenal just completely outplayed us, and they didn't really have any chance. Every time you go against Barca, Hansi Flick's going to do the exact same thing, which, going on to that Copa del Rey final, I'm going to tell you right now, I have zero faith in Real Madrid to win that Copa del Rey final. Zero. Normally, going into an El Clasico, even if we're underdogs, I normally feel like there's still a chance. 100 times, if we played that match 100 times, right? Let's say across all the parallel universes, we played that game 100 times. 98 times we get absolutely destroyed, we get spanked, and the other 2 times we just go out there with a 1-0 loss. I don't feel like there's a single world in which we win that game in the Copa del Rey final, and so we are facing practically, unless you want to count the Intercontinental Cup, we are facing a trophy this season, and the Super Cup, sorry. We are facing a trophy this season, so that's fantastic. I think it was a spineless performance from the players as well, not just Ancelotti. I mean, let's start with Ancelotti, because in the first half, when Kylian Mbappe missed that chance where Jude slipped him in and he was one-on-one with David Raya and he just hit it straight into the Raya, at half-time I felt like a sense of deja vu, because that chance was practically identical to the one that he had missed in El Clasico, in the first El Clasico of the season, where we lost 4-0. And in half-time, it was 0-0, similar to that El Clasico. In half-time, it was a pretty even game in terms of the chances, the big chances. Real Madrid could have scored. They had some really good chances to score, but they didn't. They didn't take their chances. And so I felt like, okay, well, what happens if we just go and fold completely in the second half? But I didn't really consider it, because we're playing against Arsenal, not going to Barcelona. But in the end, that's exactly how it went. We absolutely folded in this game. and something has to be said about the mental stability of these players. It's not the same as it was last season. If they do go down, it does seem like their heads do drop. It does seem like they have no faith in themselves to come back. And to be honest, I don't have any faith in them to come back at all, to be honest. The ability to come back right now is not great, and I think the players themselves aren't playing at a good enough level for me to demand that from them, and that's on them. That's on Carlo Ancelotti. And if we talk about Carlo Ancelotti, I mean, it does feel like at this point he is just dragging it along. Like, I feel like yesterday he should have announced his resignation, because this has dragged on for way too long. He should have left last season, at the end of last season, out on top, and Real Madrid should have brought in Xabi Alonso, and that would have been the start to a new era at the club. But here we are. Ancelotti took an extra year, which I can't fault him for. I wanted him to stay as well, but at the end of the day, he's failed this year. It's been a pathetic year in terms of his coaching. It just hasn't been good enough, and I think it's become even more clear this season. Each time we lose, each time we play horrifically, I think it's very clear that Toni Kroos was the on-field coach. He was the guy behind Real Madrid's identity, behind Real Madrid's management of games. It's very clear that in the times in which Real Madrid normally come back, this season they haven't been able to do so, and it just becomes even more clear that the guy behind all of that was Toni Kroos, and we took him for granted at the end of the day. It's been pathetic. Carlo Ancelotti's management has been pathetic, because each and every game, I mean, I've already said this, but each and every game he gets outcoached by any old manager. It doesn't matter if it's Mikel Arteta, Hansi Flick, or if it's Carlos Corberán. Whoever he plays up against, they can outcoach him. Simple enough. And it's the same mistakes. I mentioned how he made this. This was a really similar game to the 4-0 in the Bernabeu a couple months, like 6 months ago, let's say. It's practically an identical game, and that just shows you he just doesn't learn from his mistakes whatsoever. It's the same mistakes over and over again, and if you don't learn from your mistakes, there's no point in persisting, right? There's no point in persisting with you. Obviously, I think for his sake, he should just resign, not allow a sacking to happen. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I think second leg, once we get knocked out by Arsenal next week, officially, I think that's a good time to, if you announce the resignation, maybe you can get a little push from the players, little like upturn period when you can at least hope the players will be motivated a little bit more, in terms of just ahead of the Copa del Rey final. But I'm not hopeful about that. So it's really not a good situation for Carlo Ancelotti. He needs to go at this point. There's no. I mean, I'm done with being angry at it. I mean, there's no point in me being angry at it. He knows what he has to do. The Real Madrid fans know what he has to do. It's over. Like, it's 4 years, fourth year of Carlo Ancelotti. 2 years of fantastic football, fantastic moments, and 2 years of horrific football and horrific moments. It's obviously unfortunate, but he's going to be, at the end of the day, I'm very, very positive that he's going to be on the receiving end of 2 separate Barcelona trebles, 10 years apart, which is absolutely pathetic. And obviously I think that's on him, to be honest, because this La Liga title was very winnable. Barcelona dropped many points during the middle of the season. Atleti dropped many points throughout the season, and it's completely on us, that the fact that we haven't won the league title. And I'm saying this in past tense, because I feel like there's not a chance that we come back and win the La Liga title. And that's the same thing for this Champions League tie as well. So that's not great. I mean, the mistake going into this game, putting Alaba at left back. I mean, I told you I wanted Fran Garcia left back. Carlo Ancelotti said, "Nah, we're gonna put David Alaba's experience in quotation marks against Saka." what a horrific decision that was, right? It was a horrific decision. Alaba just completely rinsed and repeated constantly throughout this game. Fran Garcia came on in like the 70th minute, but at that point it was damage control. There was no point in really hoping for anything. And I just don't know what. Like, I saw someone's tweet saying he was replying to a tweet that had said from Madrid Extra, I think it was, that had said about how Carlo Ancelotti's coaching staff and Carlo himself had been happy with the performances from Lucas Vazquez in the recent weeks and how he's improving. And the guy replying had just said, what has Lucas Vazquez done to deserve that sense of approval? When you look at Fran Garcia in every single game, if Fran Garcia makes a single mistake, he's going to get punished for that by not seeing the field. It does beg the question, like, what is the point of having Fran Garcia here if you're not going to play him in these games, especially when Ferland Mendy's out? Because where Saka completely rinsed David Alaba, Fran Garcia, you could see could have had an impact, especially with the pace. The pace aspect was the main thing where Alaba just couldn't compete. He can't compete. He's 32 years old. He's coming off an ACL injury. He cannot compete with one of the world's best wingers. He can't compete at that level anymore. And so when you've got a physical specimen like Fran Garcia, someone who's so quick, so rapid, so durable, I just don't understand why you're not using him. Why you're not at least trying him? I mean, surely you've got to try him next week against Arsenal in the Bernabeu if you're trying to win the game. But who knows? I think, should we talk about the front three? Front three, I mean, they're not a front three, but front two plus Rodrigo. We'll start with the two clowns up top. I think, let's get this first thing very clear. I hate the fact that this fan base is split into two in terms of one's going to be in the Mbappe camp, one's going to be in the Vinicius camp. I think it's time to just start calling a spade in terms of this and say they've both been shit. I don't care if Mbappe scored 33 goals this season. That's fantastic. You're scoring against Villarreal, scoring against Leganes, scoring against whoever. Great, fantastic, amazing. But if you can't perform in these big games, like start deciding games like you said yourself, that's how his first season is going to be defined. Because at the end of the day, he scored more goals than Ronaldo in his debut season. But the big game performances just have not been it, and that's what Mbappe's first season is going to be defined by. And then if we got into Vinicius Junior, I don't know what Vinny's been doing recently whatsoever. In the last 6 months, he's just been playing absolutely pathetically. He's clearly not pulling in the same direction as the rest of the team. He's clearly doing something for himself. He's trying to, prove himself to people. Since the Ballon d'Or, he's clearly trying to prove himself to the journalists. But doing something different isn't what was required from Vinicius Junior. To be totally honest, he's been trying to do things all by himself. I saw a video this week of, it was the game against Man City a couple years ago where it ended 1-1 in the Bernabeu, and the link up between Benzema, Vinicius, and Rodrigo, it was so brilliant. It was genuinely so brilliant, and obviously that's Benzema. That's Benzema effect. Having him there is so different to having Mbappe there. But the way Vinny wanted to link up with Karim Benzema was one of a kind. It was so fantastic to watch. And you look at that Vinicius Junior to this Vinicius Junior, it's a completely different player. And I don't know what's happened in this year that just changes everything. He constantly tries to take on too many people, and we know that Vinicius can potentially even do that. But that's not what's required of Vinicius Junior. He needs to make more of an impact in trying to play out. I hate it when he just runs into guys just constantly and over and over when it's just clearly not working. He's getting double and triple teamed to the oblivion, and it's just not working. Try and link up with the teammates a little bit more, but it's just not it. It's not it from Vinicius Junior. And I mean, in terms of whether these two can work together, I mean, this season has given me serious doubts, but I don't think I'm not gonna call it quits on them two yet, because I think it's a very much coaching problem, especially when these two have shown the fact that they can't, do it without an actual structure. Maybe get an actual structure into the attack. The one thing I keep repeating this over the weeks, but the one thing that Ancelotti emphasized to Vinny when he came in first was, think less, and just do whatever feels right in the moment. Do what your gut says. I think at this point, I think some tactical discipline is required. I think they need to start listening to the coach a little bit more. Maybe not this coach, because this coach is a dumbass who doesn't know how to do anything, but they need to start listening to a coach who knows what they're doing, who knows how to get the best out of some attackers in some tactical forms, even if that does limit their individuality a little bit. I'm completely okay with that, because the current form is pathetic. It is totally pathetic. Then Rodrigo. I want to talk about Rodrigo because it's been really bad from Rodrigo over the last few months. I don't know what's happened to him. The first few months I was nothing but praise for Rodrigo, as he stayed consistent while the others faltered. But I think these last few weeks, let's say 2 months, I'd say, it just hasn't been good enough from Rodrigo whatsoever. He I think his form has also coincided with Vinny's horrific form. In terms of, the fact is that when Vinny is playing like this, you need Rodrigo to step up a little bit, and he just hasn't done so. And I think the one thing I can point to here is the fact that Rodrigo on the right, at the start of this season, he was spreading the game so fantastically, so that Vinicius and Mbappe had so much space to do whatever they want. Right now, it's not looking like the case. Rodrigo isn't impacting the game going forward at all. He isn't making that impact that's necessary from him. And at the end of the day, that just leads to more triple, double, whatever teams you want to put on Vinicius and Mbappe. The fact that they can't get any space, and Rodrigo just isn't easing that pressure whatsoever on them. And that's a huge issue, especially if you're going to have two, maybe three defensive liabilities on the team. All three of them have to perform going forward, and none of the three are performing in these big games. None of the three are doing themselves justice, and so it's obviously a huge issue. The fact that Brahim Diaz took so long to come onto the pitch, that's not Brahim, that's on Carlo, but the fact that it took so long to bring Brahim Diaz onto the pitch is crazy, considering how pathetically bad they played. Vinicius, I don't know why he stayed on the pitch. Same as Mbappe. As soon as number 2 went in from Declan Rice, that should have been the cue for Brahim Diaz to come on. That should have been the cue for Endrick to come on. That should have been the cue for potentially Arda Güler to come on. But they didn't. They didn't come on, and that's just like, it's poor coaching. It's poor coaching to let these guys play through such a bad performance, such a bad spell of games. Like, you can say, Ancelotti's ethos has always been play these players through the bad patches, because once they come out that bad patch, they're going to actively win you games. The problem is when all these players are playing badly together, forget about winning you games, they're going to cost you games. And that's what Vinicius has been doing over the last few months. He's been costing us games. Mbappe, at least he's been winning us games in La Liga, but in these big games, not good enough. Rodrigo, same thing, has been costing us games. And when Brahim Diaz has started from the beginning, he's been costing you games. When Endrick has been starting, he's been winning you games. So play the winning players. Especially if you're losing. If you're losing and you're losing games because of these guys, play the guys who are going to win you the games, not the guys who are the superstars who you need to... last season, Vinicius went through a bad spell of form during the first half of the season, but Jude Bellingham was winning us the games, so Ancelotti could afford to play Vinicius Jr. constantly throughout the season. Fair enough. And then when Vinny came out of that rut, and Jude Bellingham's performances, got down a little bit because he wasn't scoring every damn game, then Vinny stepped up, Vinny played well again. Boom, that's perfect, that's fine. I understand that, Carlo, that's a good mentality to have. But when Mbappe, Rodrigo and Vinicius Junior's forms all stink at the same time. It's time to start doing something a little bit different. Try something else. Endrick needs more minutes. I don't get why he's not playing more minutes, but he's not. Arda Güler, please play him some minutes. I mean, we say this, play them through the ruts, but I mean, Arda's not getting that leverage. He's getting dropped if he plays a bad game. So it's just not consistent whatsoever. I think also this spell has also given me a couple worries about Vinicius in terms of the long term as well. We know that this Real Madrid team is built around Vinicius, and I think even as the ship went down yesterday, I think you could see that this team was built around Vinicius Junior. In terms of the fact that when we were losing, when we're bad, Vinicius is going to be bad. If Vinicius is bad, we're going to be bad. If Vinicius is good, if Vinicius is world class, we're going to be the best team in Europe. It's as simple as that. And so you know that this ship is tied to Vinicius Junior. The question is, should we tie that ship to Vinicius Junior is my question. Now, we know that Vinicius can lead a team, but can he lead the team when Mbappe is also here? Is the question. And that's the question. That's the answer I don't have. I don't have that answer. But the question is, should we put Jude Bellingham as the anchor to this team? Should we put Vinicius? Should we put Bellingham as the star player? Is that the best course of action? Potentially, I think it's potentially the best course of action for the future. Putting everything around. I mean, you saw in the performance yesterday. Despite everything going wrong for us, we persisted going down the left. The left was the way to go, no matter what. Even if we were stinking it up down the left, that's the way it was always going to go. Maybe we should have tried going through the middle. Maybe we should have tried going through the right. I think it's clear to me that maybe you have to be a bit more tactically versatile, and Carlo Ancelotti isn't. I think the next point I'm going to make is talking about Dani Ceballos, because obviously Dani Ceballos kind of brought us a bit of light during a dark season over the last the 2 months previously. When he started coming into the team around January, right? So December, January time. I think the loss of Dani Ceballos, especially in a time in which he showed us that there's light at the end of the tunnel. There was light at the end of the tunnel with Dani Ceballos, because he was raising the level of the team so much. And as soon as he got injured, you kind of had that whole thing snatched from you. And at that point, I do feel kind of sympathetic for Carlo Ancelotti. He found a solution, which was playing Dani Ceballos next to Aurelien Tchouameni, and that kind of got ripped from him. But is that a long-term solution? I mean, is relying on the form. Let's forget about the form, actually. Let's forget about the form, because the form's one thing. Maybe Dani Ceballos has finally hit his peak potential. But relying on the injury status of Dani Ceballos, is that really that sensible? Relying on the fact that Dani Ceballos is going to sustain that performance for is that really that sensible? I don't think that is that sensible. And having no other ideas at that point, it's unforgivable, in my opinion. It's totally unforgivable. Obviously, Dani Ceballos is probably going to come back for next week's game. We'll see this weekend whether he plays against Alaves. I don't really want to watch that game, to be honest, but I probably will watch that game either way. I'm tied to this sinking ship. But Dani Ceballos is probably going to come back, and we'll see. Maybe if Dani Ceballos comes back, then this team's performance might improve. But damn, it's not great, is it? It's still not fantastic. I think, what else have I got to talk about? I mean, Courtois is fantastic. He made some really damn good saves, despite all of that stinky defensive performance. I thought Asensio was good as well, but if Angelo, like the fact that Asensio got dropped against Valencia was crazy. I mean, this is a kid. He's not going to be tired. And in terms of performance, he's been your maybe third best performer, second, third, first, maybe first, top three performance definitely this season, alongside Jude and Fede. So how are you dropping him? There is no way you're dropping him. He's undroppable at the moment. Like, there is no reason why you should be dropping Raul Asensio, but he does. He consistently drops him, and it just makes no sense to me how he consistently drops him. I just don't understand that. I saw the news that Dani Carvajal was potentially coming back in May. Too bad the season's gonna be over by then, but yeah, I mean, just give him the rest of the season off. There's no point, rushing him back or anything. Just give him the rest of the season off. Please don't aggravate that injury again, please. But I mean, the moral of the story is that aura, that we are Real Madrid identity only takes you so far. And when you play a team that's just simply better than you, you will get beat. Simple as that. And Real Madrid got beat very, very comprehensively yesterday. And, only God knows what would have happened if we had advanced, if we had sleepwalked our way through. And we would have played PSG with Kvaratskhelia, with Barcola, and with Dembele. Only God knows what would have happened if that actually happened. And even if we'd sleepwalked through that, well, Barcelona in the final, well, at least we're not seeing that, right? That's the only positive I can take from this. We're not seeing Barcelona in another final. But apart from that, I mean, you guys let me know what you think about it. I'll be back potentially to talk about an Alaves. I mean, I don't know, what do you want me to do? I mean, this weekend we got Alaves. Do you want me to do a preview or whatever it is? Or is it on Saturday or on Sunday? Let me just have a quick look. It's on Sunday. I don't think I'll be doing a preview for an Alaves Real Madrid game at this stage of the season when Real Madrid's season is practically over. So I'm probably not going to do a preview. Maybe I'll do a review on Monday. Do you want me to do an Arsenal preview next week? I can do that if you want. And then we've got I might do a review as well. Depending, I'll see how it goes. We'll see how the week goes. In terms of a comeback next week, 3 goals. If there's a team that can do it, it's us. But it's not going to happen. If I had to put percentages on it, I'd say 0.5% Real Madrid. I'd say 99.5% Arsenal win, and they'll be moving on to the Champions League semi-finals, and it's deservedly so. It's deservedly so because they're much better, much better. But yeah, I mean, I see the Real Madrid TV doing 90 minutes of round at the Bernabeu is very long. It is very long, but I don't know if it's worthy of losing by 4 goals, especially to this pathetic Real Madrid team. But hopefully in the next week, Carlo Ancelotti announced his resignation. And, I said this to Sean. Obviously, Sean's not here with me today. But I said this to Sean yesterday evening after the game. Santiago Solari is going to be better than this. Like, this is really damn bad. Santi Solari at least would play players based on merit, based on deserved. I think it's just not great. Yeah. Apart from that, that's it from me today. I'll see you guys whenever I see you. Potentially for an Alaves game, potentially for an Arsenal game next week. But that's it for today. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. Hopefully this therapy session has been good for you guys. And I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.